following in Moody's footsteps. Earlier this month, the only ratings agency to have South Africa still in investment grade, Moody's, also changed the country's outlook from positive to negative. S&P has cited the country's low growth environment, the widening budget deficit, and rising debt levels as damaging to the fiscus. During his medium-term budget policy statement, Finance Minister Mboweni announced that the country's debt is likely to increase to nearly 70% of GDP in 3 years. Mboweni also revised down the country's economic growth prospect and announced that the budget deficit would widen to 6.2%.
The main reason for this is because the difference between what government planned to spend and what it expected to receive in taxes got suddenly very much bigger than we had anticipated, partly because of unexpectedly low economic growth, partly because of the huge bailouts of the SOEs, and partly because of the excessive amount being spent on keeping public servants employed and giving them nice big salary packages.
S&P has warned of further credit ratings downgrades if the fiscus continues to deteriorate, and says while there were attempts to introduce structural reforms during the medium-term budget policy statement, few material reforms were introduced. It also warned that state-owned enterprises, especially Eskom, are putting pressure on government spending.
It is having to bail out state-owned enterprises in a big way, rescuing them with large loans, which then are transformed into actual government expenditure in the budget. And the third reason why we're in this mess is because over the last decade the government has expanded the public service very substantially and has also increased remuneration of public servants very sharply, and that means that it has had to cut back on other forms of expenditure, but basically its own expenditure overall has been far too high.
In a statement, National Treasury said government remains committed to placing public finances on a sustainable path while aiming to achieve inclusive growth. Balenhle Mthethwa, SABC News, Johannesburg.